This is RPMMO Radio,
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
a podcast all about role-playing and MMORPGs.
I like what you got. Good job.
With your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, Sid, Jazz, Strafae, and Kishmas.
Everybody off. We need to go on a quick adventure.
Hell! It's not working again. Why did my thing stop working? Hold on. Hello, role players! Now that Discord has decided to stop redoing my fucking default on my mic again for the second time and for no reason at all. It's so dumb. Welcome to RPMMO Radio. I don't know why you're here. I don't know what's going on. Most of the things don't even work anymore, apparently. Discord's just resetting things. Most of the people don't even show up anymore. I mean, really, it's all over the place. You hit 50 and it's all downhill from there. So, appreciate everybody joining us. I, of course, am one of your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, and with me today is Sib, Yunfei, and our call screener, Rahanar. That's it. That's all we got. We have... Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, we Jazz is out making a drug run across the country with her kids. It's a family business, I like to think. Strafae, he's down in Texas. I'm pretty sure he's just having, I don't know, whatever Texans do, a shootout, I assume, probably over oil rights. I don't know. Big oil's always something down there, right? I've seen that documentary, Dallas.
I did hear something about him standing across the lake wearing his Texas gear and looking at Louisiana. So I don't know. Could be a shootout.
I don't know. That'll be a short shootout. I mean, them Louisianans, they're weird. We actually have a story on people from there right today, so that'll be a fun one. And of course, Kishmas hopefully will be around eventually. He is, of course, out right now. Having his uterus taken a look at, and they are scraping the barnacles that have formed on the inside. He swam in the ocean a little too much, and uterine barnacles is a thing that it just happens. It happens, it happens to the best of us, really. So, am I freezing for anybody else? What's that? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying that things were frozen. So, I don't know.
Keep us posted, Jay.
Yeah.
We're having issues, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything looks fine on my end. So, appreciate everybody tuning in. We are, of course, here every Saturday at 7 Central Time over at twitch.tv/RPMMO Radio. You can also catch us on the podcast after the fact, usually about the next day. Go over to Apple Podcast, any Android podcast app, Spotify, Podbean, wherever things are sold. And currently we're frozen?
Huh.
Well, let me see.
Oh, it's me. I break technology wherever I go.
That's probably her.
We won't blame you.
Yeah. Well, let me take a quick look here.
I blame Ashen all the time. We won't blame you.
Yeah. No, it's working just fine. I don't know why it's frozen for everybody. So, I'm sorry, guys. I have no idea. So, but yeah. So, it's going to be, we've had some, the last two episodes were, I liked them. They were a lot of fun. But, one, they ran a little long. Two, wow, are they really, really serious? So I let's not do that for a while, huh? Everybody good on that? No more politics, no more, mental health disabilities, and talk of psychopaths and sociopaths and all that fun stuff. Get it? I think we can all put that on hold for a little while.
Yeah, for a little while.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
mhm.
Yeah. Till
I'm on.
Yunfei snaps and Rahanar disappears one day, and we'll have this as audio evidence. Example A. Why did she snap? I don't know.
I blame you. She knew you before she knew Rahanar.
Oh, that's
So-
true. That means
Yeah.
I
I'm
have more
totally
authority.
blaming you.
A long time before I knew Rahanar. In fact,
See, it's your fault. It's your fault.
Does that mean I have friend privileges? Like if it was between me and him in a fire, which one of which would you push out the window first to save? I mean,
probably him because he's half crippled.
wow, went right for the
So-
crippled jokes. I am sorry, Smiley. See, she's usually a lot sweeter than that. And you want to make? She's probably going to make cerebral palsy jokes before you know it. I apologize, everybody. We're still training her. And there in the background is Rahanar, just like, really? This is-
What I got from that was she would save Smiley before you.
Smiley? You mean Rahanar?
Well, Rahanar, Smiley. I got
Well,
that.
that's true. I don't know which one would be more disabled. I would think it was probably... I'm going to go with the guy with the cerebral palsy.
No, like no contest though. The cats would be first.
Okay, you know what? Fair. I think that's fair.
That's awesome.
I think that's...
The cats would be first.
I got to be honest. Burning house, I'm taking the computer. I mean, the kids, they got legs. They can fend for themselves. They're on the second story. They're spongy. They can jump out a window.
Well, we've actually been in that situation where I was woken up from a nap by Mel. You got to get up. The apartment's on fire. So I pushed my roommates and him out the door, grabbed a cat, shoved it at someone, and then went to grab the other cat. So that's
never
exactly
fun.
what happened. The cats.
Yeah. Well, and that was the last time Rahanar had to cook. I mean, it works. You know, guys.
No, it was
if you're
some lady.
Oh.
It wasn't our apartment.
Oh, that's the worst when it's someone
was in the
else's
same
ignorant
building.
stupidity.
Yeah, she left a pan on the stove and fell asleep. And
Who
Just-
does that?
How do you do that?
well,
Was she senile? Maybe. Yeah. I don't
An
know.
older lady? I don't know.
no, it was a younger lady, but she
Oh,
had a night out.
Oh.
I hear what you're
Okay.
saying. Millennials. I get you. I get you. They're the worst.
We just lost most of our audience.
No, I meant other millennials. The dumb ones. Not you. So anyway, no, we guys, we appreciate y'all being here. Unfortunately, with the lack of jazz, I don't know how to continue the show, to be honest with you, because I mean, it's
Where
not,
are we going to go?
it's not the same. Should we just wait here for her maybe to come back for next week? We'll just wait here the whole week.
Wait, did you do our special thanks, by the way?
No,
Did
not
I
yet.
miss that?
No,
Oh, okay.
No.
I was.
No, I'm going to get to that.
I'm
I was
totally
just,
lost right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to follow the outline, and I'm like,
no,
wait a
I
minute.
don't. Since when do I follow
we
the
on the
outline? The outline is just that. It's an outline. It's what I should do to keep things cohesive, not what I will do to keep things cohesive. So, but no. To get back to all that fun stuff, if you are watching us on Twitch, go ahead and follow, subscribe if you got one of those things, just like Yunfei did last week for 2 whole months. Wow, I don't know
Use your
why.
Twitch Prime, guys.
Wow, see, that's what I do. I mean, I actually use ours. I could use it on my own show, but that seems like really self-serving. So I use it on one of the other streams that I enjoy, and so I can help support other streamers like us. And if you're a streamer out there and you want to give us a host thing, go ahead and do that. Would appreciate it. Every little bit helps. We also want to thank all of our Patreon donors, every single one of you, including those at our Raid Boss level, That Guy Lazza, and the Truth Bob, and Lauren M., who I think I'm shortening what it is from there because I'm not sure. I think it's the same person. I know who it is in chat, but I don't want to cross it, and I want to give the person the proper thing. So thank you very much, Lauren M., for joining the ranks, the illustrious, the best of the best, the near Jesus or divinity-like figure of your choice in supporting RPM Radio at the raid boss level. You, too, are both sexy and good-looking. Just like me.
Do we cheer now? Woo! Woo!
Yay!
The enthusiasm is infectious. Very, very infectious.
I had thought about doing the dubious clap, but then I was like, maybe,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yes, it's Lauren M91 in the chat. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I don't want to give somebody else somebody else's glory hole. So you can be a Patreon donor too at patreon.com/RPMradio. If you want to help support the show, keep the lights on. I mean, actually, we keep the lights on. It's called having a job and being a responsible adult, but it does help pay for the internet fees. And now, of course, due to net neutrality, I have heard that next year it's going to cost somewhere like $4 billion. I don't know. It depends on what side you listen to. It's either going to be all free. It's going to cost $4 billion to do anything on the internet, and you're going to have to pay to play. I don't know. I really don't care. I personally, just glad you guys are here. Really, I mean, how you doing? You doing good? You having a good night? Everyone down there?
I have to say, Lauren M. he's raised to the ranks of one of Sib's favorites.
But is he a new favorite? Like, compared to the three, I mean, if you had to rank that guy, Lazza, DeTruth, Bob, and Lauren M., I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm just putting you right on the spot. Pick them. Do it now.
Is
it like picking one of your children?
It's a threesome. I like all three.
Wow.
They're my favorites.
Well, I didn't include that in the Patreon tier rankings, but apparently a threesome is also something you get with the raid boss level. Who knew? If I knew that's all it had to take to get, I'd be given $20 a long time ago.
Sweet.
No, I appreciate you guys doing that. Seriously,
yes,
it really does mean a lot.
Much.
It helps. Helps with everything. Thank you, T the Khajiit, for hosting us. We appreciate that. That's why she's the best Enwa.
Yes, she's our kind of Enwa.
That's right. So, yeah, thank you all of our Patreon donors, every single one of you. Thank you all our subscribers, all our listeners. I mean, really, we made it 51 episodes now. We wouldn't have been here without you, because it would be, like, completely pointless if I kept looking at numbers and it was just zero, or it was just me listening to the show after the fact to make sure everything didn't come off horribly. So, yeah, I noticed you had 6 lurkers already, and you're not even streaming right now. You're in our chat. That's kind of funny. Well, we appreciate those 6 people that are now streaming us on T's chat. If you're role players, welcome to our domain. We have such sights to show you. Anybody know what that's from?
Hellraiser.
That's my baby. Now I loved you for a reason. So with that, since you spoke, Sib, what have you been doing in roleplay?
Wait a minute. Okay. I guess I'm the jazz.
Your default jazz. Your second
jazz. I want our real
Your
jazz.
Jazz 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Sweet. I thought you were going to put it on me because I'm the newbie here.
That's what I thought you was going to do too. I thought, okay.
Nah,
Yunfei,
see, I've known Yunfei longer than you, so her and I are tight. We're like, we got that gang thing going. I really wanted her in the gang because of her bow staff skills. Really was the main reason.
She's got sweet bow staff skills.
She's got some sweet bow staff skills.
Nice. Let's see. Okay, what was the question? Can I get a repeat on that question?
What have you been doing in roleplay?
Okay. Well, let me tell you, it has been another pretty busy week. Had a lot of fun. I've got 2 stories that I was going to go with, or not stories, not going to tell them the stories. I'm not good like that. But the first one was a fishing trip, and I went with a new friend. His name is Termal. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Probably not. But we decided we were going to go RP fish, and I was on my little clergy, Kilvin, and went down to underneath the bridge by the housing in Ebonheart, and I had so much fun because nothing was scripted. We just went down there and we were going to hang out and talk, and it ended up he was reeling in his pool and he caught soggy bait, which I started dying laughing because that's something you actually catch in the game. So while he was doing that, I emoted that my pole started to take off into the water. So I jumped after it. And the next thing I know, he jumps after it too because it gets by me. So we're both trying to scramble after this pole. And it was so much fun. We ended up getting soaking wet. He was claiming he was the king of the fish. And it was just a lot of fun. I actually was dying laughing. It was just some great stuff. And my other event that I was going to talk about was last night. Somebody did a event where we had to go down into the dungeon of the Abbey and get the commander back, Roger. And I was the only clergy there, and it was a lot of fun. And Saren did an awesome job on the DMing and everything. We went down there, and Roger had been captured. So they had him laid out in this like circle, and they were chanting, and I don't know, it was something about spiders and stuff. And let's see. I was really tired, so I kind of was like I had to leave right after, but it was still a lot of fun, and there was a lot of great battle. Just me being clergy, I didn't do a lot of fighting. I did more like trying to dispel wards and cast,
Clergy stuff.
Yeah, basically heal and stuff, and just kind of keep an eye on everything. So, but that was my role play. There was some other nights of role play, but those were the 2 that I wanted to talk about. So,
wow.
I'm not as good as at explaining as you are.
Oh, you did fine. No, one of the things I'm trying to get away from is our calendar version of events. Just hit the highlights, maybe. No, we don't. You don't need the hour by hour calendar of things. That is just like, yeah, I went to a bar, and then we want to keep it entertaining for you here on 89.9 The Big Stink.
I will say too, last night I was so tired.
You were
started
like
talking to a friend because he had just logged in.
Now I'm just a friend.
Not you.
Mm-hmm.
I started talking to him, and because he had just logged in, and I was like, "I'm sorry, I don't want to role play." I said, "I'm so tired. I'm whiny tired." And then I was like, I kept telling him I was sorry, and I'm like, "You don't have to be my friend anymore." He's like, "Go to bed."
Yeah. And then she got off the computer, and she went into the kitchen, the whole time complaining about how tired she was. And then she came in here and just stared at me and said, "I'm really tired." And it's like, yeah, go to bed. And then she went and laid down on the couch and watched, I don't even know, some garbage TV show for an hour. Just eating popsicles. I don't think she even was consciously aware of what she was doing. It was just like muscle memory of sitting on the couch and eating popsicles.
I like popsicles.
Mm-hmm.
What?
That's always great for diabetics, I've heard.
They're sugar-free. And they're really nice after a long, hot day of work. What's better than eating a popsicle or some ice cream, huh?
A cold beer.
Anyway, who's next?
So what about you, Uni? What have you done this week?
Well, a lot of nothing, but
Woo!
a couple cool things happened. Tuesday was poetry night, and my character Bree got pulled up on stage to dance with the other bard in the guild, which I thought was really cool. And there were so many love connections happening that night.
I have to say that was really cool, and I've seen you
was so
perform
adorable.
before, and it's a lot of fun to watch you perform. I just wanted to say that because I did go to poetry hour, but I'm trying not to be like still anybody's stories.
Oh,
So go ahead. But I wanted to
no,
say
it's a lot of fun to perform as her. It was a little nerve-wracking at first, because I don't write my own stuff. I just swipe it from famous
I think most people do. It's like there's like a 1 percentile of people that are like creating their own poems and stuff like that. It's
I wish I could, but I am not that talented.
Oh, I wrote poetry when I was like 13, and man, was it emo.
I was gonna say how fantastic is that by today's standards?
Oh, it was terrible.
It
It
was-
was terrible.
It was the best Hot Topic had to offer. Which, by the way, I know I shit on Hot Topic. It's still a fun ass store to go into. They have such the coolest shirts of pop culture bullshit that I really enjoy. So now I do skip the studded leather collar section because there's places that I can get that for far cheaper.
I don't fit into anything in stores like that. Like, I walk in and they look at me and say, "I don't think we have anything here for you." Like, oh, thanks.
That's impossible. I weigh 240 pounds, and
Like,
there's
I'm a
like-
big lady, but I'm not that fat.
You're just low to the ground.
I am low to the
You're
ground.
fun-sized.
That's why I can't,
Rahanar,
size.
back me up.
I
Fun-sized.
can't play tall characters.
You can't play
Weirds me out.
tall characters.
Sure.
She is short. Not halfling short, which is why she's allowed on the show. So what else did you have, bud?
Thursday was really awesome. That was Guild RP night, which was, I think, equally awesome and not so awesome, but I'll just stick with the awesome parts. And that's when this strange weirdo showed up and listened to Bree sing. And he said a couple strange things to her, like, "You look just like her," and it sort of flew over her head what he was getting at. And then he gave her a dagger that was very familiar to her because she'd used it to stab a slaver as she was escaping a house. She asked where he got it. He didn't really say where it came from, but he said that it was his and that he had given it to her mother to give to her. And he said that he was her father. And there was lots of emotion. I don't think she knew how to feel. And I think even now she still doesn't know what to feel.
Well, yeah. How would you? I mean, really?
Yeah.
Especially he's like a slaver and you were a slave.
Yep.
Yeah.
So she's, I wanted to, the people I wanted to be there that night, except for Ranar, he was there. Nobody else was there, which was really a bummer.
That was
And,
Jazz
you know,
being
like-
off down south, and Strafae had his church weekend thing. So that was why neither one of them, I think, were there.
Yeah, and all I'll say is without Jazz, let's just say the mice will play. So, like,
Are you saying that a lot of the studded leather collars from Hot Topic were brought out? A lot of black makeup, a lot of vampires.
will neither confirm nor deny.
You're a nicer person than I am because it was all awful.
Yeah, nobody reacted, nobody responded. It was just really weird. It was like almost like we weren't even there.
Yeah,
so weird.
it's an unfortunate thing. That's one of those things where it is a little bit. It can be a little bit cliquish at times in certain things, and without certain people there to help keep people in line, so to speak. But I was the creepy dude playing her father. She asked me to do that, and
I
it was
asked you
fun.
to be my shit disturber.
Yeah, she was like, "Will you be my daddy?" I wasn't maybe exactly in those words, but it comes to the same thing.
I didn't tell Rahanar about it either, other than I had approached you for some future roleplay. And so when you logged in with that character, we have the mod that shows you when friends log in and log off.
Oh,
and
okay.
You logged in with that character, and he looked at me and he's like, I see your shit disturbers here. I'm like, aha.
Yeah, it was interesting because the story that she had come up with, you know, she looks Bosmer, but she's actually half. She's half Dunmer, half Bosmer. For those that don't know Bosmer, it's Wood Elf. In ESO, you only take the physical traits of one or the other. You don't. There is no half elf. There's none of that stuff. I'll be honest. I think largely because the developers were really lazy and just didn't want to do it. So they're like, yeah, lore-wise, you only do whatever. You only do one of the halves. That's my guess.
Which isn't true, because in one of the main stories that you play from the Harbridge, you meet a lady who I think her mom was a giant.
Yeah,
and,
there's that one. But even that, she still looks human. She's just a little bigger, you know.
She's ginormous. Yeah. Well, I'm playing a tiny character.
I was going to say, compared to a boss,
I was going to say, but yeah,
lots
for
of things
you,
are ginormous.
I didn't even make this guy tall, and she's towering over you. But no, it's trying to figure. I did it because I like the challenge of trying to figure out somebody that had fallen in love with a slave when they are a slaver, and of course, then got her pregnant, and then everything went to shit for him and for her, and you know, then they couldn't see each other, and then trying to track, you know, then she uses a dagger that was left to the wife or the woman, and then passed down to the daughter to kill someone in his house. And then, you know, so it was, you know, it was fun trying to figure out the mentality of somebody that would actually love the slave enough, and then maybe would even, you know, might actually give a crap enough to even try to find the daughter. Yeah.
And I didn't give you a lot of detail to go on either.
No. Nah.
Which I kind of did that on purpose, because I didn't. This time I didn't want to build this deep, huge, you know, story for her. I was like, you know what? We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, which is good because I would have forgotten most of it.
And sometimes that's the best, you know, because you never know what you're going to get. You just
like
a box
lay
of
down
chocolates.
He could say something, and then, you know, I through Bree could react.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there were a few things like when, you know, he said that he looked just like her, which I don't know, maybe they did. I just assumed they did, but you know, that the reason that he actually had fallen for her and noticed her first was her singing, and then she was like, well, she never sang, which could be a thing that happens. You know, she stopped singing after she lost that, and everything went to shit. So, you know, you never know. There's all sorts of fun stuff that comes around with just being thrown into a scenario. I had a good time.
Yeah, me too. And that's exactly what I wanted to do, because when I first started Bree, like, I love the class mechanically. She's awesome. But the character I was just not connecting with. Not like I did with Yunfei. Yunfei was an instant love.
Yeah.
But Bree, it's like I couldn't get comfortable in her skin, so to speak. And that's why I approached you. I was like, well, I know, you know, you and I have had tons of roleplay in the past, and amazing stories have come from it. Stories and inspiration and ideas. And I'm like, well, let's see if I can bounce this off of someone else.
Yeah.
And I've been trying really hard to do that, but it's
hard to find someone you could trust, especially like you said. After that, you were staying around the bar, and you couldn't get people to look at you twice, you know. And it's
and like we ordered it like 4 times, and we're just we're like, all right, well, we're going to bed.
Yeah,
good night.
Bedtime, not worth it. Yeah.
But like that was actually something else. I wrote up a little thing for what I was going to say for like roleplay and stuff, but like I've been having a heck of a time finding roleplay that suits my enjoyment. because like we read my rant this morning.
Yeah, actually, why don't you go ahead? It's not maybe what you were doing in roleplay. It was really more what did Yunfei try to do in roleplay. So we've got a little without all the people here. I actually want to get into this. We're going to go into rose-colored glasses kind of thing. Why the roleplay seems like it was better back in the day, but we're really going to just kind of this show is going to be free flow. We're going to free form it like roleplay a little bit. But yeah, you were telling me about that earlier. Wow, what a clusterfuck that was.
My little rant this morning.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, because now I'm curious.
Yeah, because now everyone's like, well, now if you don't go into it, I'm going to turn the damn stream off because you're dangling shit out there.
Well, so I had previously ranted to you about roleplay and like not fitting in, and like, yeah, I have a character that doesn't fit in, but I meant her to not fit in as in, hey, I'm a kid of two races that hate each other.
In character, not fit in.
In character, right? Yeah. But like, I always seem to end up in the guilds that are just very dark and bitey
and insular, yeah.
And like, and I don't begrudge anyone playing how they enjoy. You know, to each their own. That's fantastic. It's not my thing, so I always, me the player, I always feel kind of like I'm just sort of sitting there watching people roleplay. So anyway, like I had complained to you before, and you said, well, here's a website, you know, take a look over it. It was
ESORP,
yeah, and you know, try to see if you can find something. So I did find something. They are Bosmer based, but they welcome everyone. They have their own RP hub, which they built in one of the home areas. They built this entire city in there. Their Discord channel even has a specific channel for bards, because I mean, really, who does their own song?
Like to do stuff. Yeah,
yeah. So like, you can link, you know, to the YouTube or whatever of whatever song you're singing, and people can listen to that instead of the same one lute song that you get in game.
Right.
So I worked up the courage because I'm super shy. I worked up the courage to go into their Discord, you know, said hi to people and stuff, and they sent me an invite, but I was in game and I didn't get it, and we were trying to figure out what was going on, and then someone was like, "Well, are you on EU or North America?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm on NA," and they're like, "Oh, well, we're an an EU guild." Oh, well, crap.
Yeah,
so
That's a bummer.
I tried to make an EU character so I could go and roleplay with them. And we found out that nothing from your American account transfers over except your subscription. So nothing I had unlocked, nothing I had bought, money.
Yeah, I didn't, and I'd never even considered any of that.
Never
Not
crossed
even
my mind.
settings. Nothing transferred over. And I was like, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah, you're basically starting over, yeah.
Oh, yeah, starting literally from scratch.
Yeah.
And I don't, it said I had a subscription, but I don't know that I had all of the expansions and stuff.
Yeah, well, you would have all the DLC, but it makes me wonder if you wouldn't have Morrowind and the recent one.
I definitely had Somerset, because Somerset is where it started.
Okay,
I went through
so
the
at least
quest.
it gave you all that stuff, but you had none of your unlocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or anything I bought with money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a strange system that it would do it that way.
It was a huge bummer because I was really looking forward to that. Like it sounded so perfect.
Yeah, that's a
so
bummer.
I went back to the website, realized, oh crap, I was in the EU section.
No.
So I went to look for an American guild. And again, to each their own, I don't begrudge anyone their joy, but this is what I found. I found Dunmer Guild, Vampire Guild, Dunmer Guild, a Slave Guild, a Master Guild of Vampires, a Dunmer Guild, a Vampire Guild, and one Khajiit only guild. who Ronar said,
God bless America.
immediately after that, Ronar said, well, that Khajiit only guild is probably enslaved by one of the Dunmer guilds.
Probably, yeah.
Oh.
America,
And like
you're
I
the
said,
worst.
So what I'm hearing is that somebody out there needs to start a Bosmer guild so our little Yunfei can join it. Please.
Or if you have one out there that's just a fun, friendly guild, let her know. She's on the lookout. And can't you tell she's super sweet?
Aw. Yeah, and like I'm trying to stay upbeat and positive about it, but it's getting really frustrating.
Yeah, well, it is one of those things too. The difference, the vast difference too between something like if this was EQ2 even a few years ago, what you just named off, that would literally be about all there was left. But at least with ESO, the community is so big, and not everybody has their guild up there. So while it is a really good place to start, there might be the guild, exactly the kind of guild you're out there looking for. It's just not advertised there. You're gonna have to really dig deep to try to find it.
There's Insomniac in the Discord said, I'm in a small Bosmer Discord.
Yeah, there you
All
go.
the RP is in Vellenwood, mostly Green Pack.
Well, there
So
you go.
might be something to check out.
Yeah, poke. Yeah, so you can poke her out. Insomniac's in the Discord channel too, so you can poke her after the show. But yeah, that's one of the that just really sucks about the thing. I would never have even considered the difference because it's the same game. It's just basically a different server. In every other game, it all transfers over, all your crown stuff and things like that. So yeah, I'm sure they have a reason for it, but I can't think of it.
We did some research into it, and things you share crowns for both the American and the European servers. So, but if you buy something, say on the European server, it stays on the European server. It doesn't show up.
Okay, yeah. So that it is just that's what I was thinking. What Insomniac said, ZOS with a money symbol for the S. It's just a cheap money grab. Yeah, that's unfortunate too.
That's a shame.
Because really...
people would be a lot. People notice those things, and it does. The morale of your game does take a hit for shit like that.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
We did go to Riften a few times throughout the week because I was told that was one of the roleplay hubs. And
it's very spotty.
It is very spotty. And then when I was looking on the forum today for a guild or an RP hub or whatever, I read that Riften was where roleplay goes to die.
But it is where ERP goes to be sticky. Very, very sticky.
I will say, Riften, I've met a few people from Riften that are good role players. I've met some really bad trolls. So, I mean, it
really is hit and miss. Yeah. You really can find some pretty... Jazz, if she was here, she'd tell you she's actually found some pretty quality role play, and she's made some friends there. And at the same time, she's also met the creepy, mouth-breathing weirdos. It's just just crapshoot. And actually, you'd probably have better luck at craps.
And Alanu, I will say there's a dark side and there's a light side to Alanu. I know my character, Bully, Jin, the ones I play in Alanu, I don't really associate with the other half. I mean, because I may chat with them at the guild night, but I don't really do a lot of RP with the darker half, like the vampires and the werewolves and the Palani. I don't do a lot of RP with them. I don't know why. I think it's just because the character I created, Voli, she's not into that kind of stuff, so she just kind of stays away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here. So, and the people, Sealy, the people are really nice. Everyone in the guild, out of character, has been very nice, really cool people.
Helpful, nice, I like it. I was going to ask you, did Tim's event go off last night? Just out of curiosity.
No, it was postponed until tonight, but I think it's going to be postponed again, or are we doing that tonight? He's not listening.
He is listening. He's just 15 seconds behind.
So wanted to go to that, but I was last night, I was zombie. I was such a zombie.
Yeah, the first one. Were you at the first? Oh, yes, you were actually.
No, I didn't make it to the first one, but I know she came to the event I had, because we were trying to schedule an event on the same day, me and her. And so it was like, she goes, you take it because you've already had yours out there for a while. And she said, I'll reschedule mine. And so when she put it up, I was like, oh, it's at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I go to bed at 10:30 because of work. I hate adulting. It really sucks.
It's no good.
But if she has it either tonight or tomorrow, I might try to pop in there if she's got room.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's tonight, but we'll have to ask her.
Yes. So, I had 3 things today. I ran 2 events. One of them was the combat training on Monday, which I bounced off of what the person did before, which the week before, which was handcuff training. Controlling a person with handcuffs. Blah 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 blah. So this time, I carried off on that. Like, what happens when that fails? So it was basically ground combat, wrestling. For those of you in the South.
Say that again.
Wrestling.
Wrestling.
Don't know what was sexual about that comment in the chat, but
I was looking at that too.
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
It's like, huh?
What's sexual about the word Del? DEL?
Look,
Is there some sexual?
Man, I don't know what the kids are doing these days.
Right, that one's.
They're shorting everything down, so maybe it's something to do with that.
I don't even want that in my Google search. It's probably something weird. But no, so I did that. I paired everybody off into 2s. And they were it was basically instead of no magic, no swords, just basically try to pin the other person or put them in a chokehold, whichever happened first. And I let them kind of, it wasn't one where I didn't take control of it. I basically said, all right, you guys are responsible for your own little, it's one-on-one. So, do your emote and high-low kind of win first to 3. And because, they weren't waiting on me first to 3, we actually managed to do 2 rounds. And then at the end of it, I made each and every one of the people tell the person that they were fighting what they could have done to have pinned them themselves sooner. So basically, it was a critique kind of a thing. And I had a lot of fun. I think everybody seemed to have a lot of fun. One fun thing I did was the second round was I made everybody do 30 push-ups and roll, and whoever got the high roll got the first hit automatically because they got to then tackle the person that did the push-ups just a little bit slower, which I thought was fun. I had a good time with that because I didn't have to do it. So I had a good time with that. They asked me to do the combat. I'm always happy to do anything like that. The other thing I had was Wednesday was Attack of the Clones, because if you don't tell the naming conventions, I'm just going off Star Wars movies for this series. It was a continuation in the Menace thing that I've been doing. They had actually had a Argonian come to them that was devoted to the 3, and when she had heard of the stuff with the Menaces, finally, the rumors got around, she knew it was her sister, and she had information to give them, and she sent them to a mountain range down in the Shadowfen, which, of course, led to a giant wall of nothing. It was just looked like a wall, and they were kind of getting... At first, they were a little ticked off thinking they'd been played. And then they ran some Dispel Scrolls and things like that, and they realized that there was actually an illusion and a massive inner-powered ward. It was basically meant to look like rocks, and they did manage to make a hole big enough. They couldn't completely dispel the ward because it was continually powered. So they got in there. I went ahead because this place was filled with the actual mechanical spiders. I was just like, all right, every mechanical spider you see in here is in character, so you're going to have to fight your way through it, because we were going to have to do it anyway, so why the fuck not, Might as well. You typically, in-game combat doesn't get dragged into roleplay, but honestly, for something like that, it was easy to make sense. The place was supposed to be a Dwemer ruin, the old Dwarven ruins, and that was where they had been led to and what they were supposed to find. So the fact that the Dwemer stuff automatically keeps reproducing these things, it seemed like it made sense. So they tore, obviously, a group of, 12 people, 10 people. they tore the shit through them. I mean, it wasn't exactly a challenge, but you know, the opportunity presents itself. You may as well, you know, make the best of what you got in front of you. They did eventually get all the way through that stuff, and they got to the main room, which had you know, dozens of tanks. And of course, you know, with portals, and someone looked into it, of course, knowing what they would see, and of course it was empty. Because I'm a turd, because they spoiled it.
When you said dozens of tanks, all I could think was like
big tanks.
No, like tanks in the game, like
right, yeah, like yeah.
I'm that kind of gamer.
It was a room full of tanks, and then they all died. But it took a long time because they had no DPS.
There you go.
But yeah, so there was a big control console in the middle, a lot of tanks and stuff like that. And I always build multiple ways to do this. The person in charge of this Zavul, however, is really more of a smash and grab kind of person. They could have shut down the tanks, which actually did hold things inside them, and basically killed them all off without a fight. Instead, they took all the papers around there and then ordered them to smash the control panels, which unlocked every single tank in there all at once, and then they were attacked by about a dozen of underformed menaces, which is like, they were basically like cloned gargoyles, or in the works of being made gargoyles. Attack of the Clones. Get it? So they were fairly underpowered. That's why there was a dozen of them. But they actually rolled really, really well. So they tore through them pretty good. A couple people got some slashes and some serious kicks. And towards the end, they were starting to get a little stronger because they were like a butterfly. They were getting all hard and stuff. Yeah, you know how that happens. Yeah, just getting hard. Yeah.
Thank you, Yunfei.
Uh-huh. And then, of course, there was a self-destruct because why not? And it took a while for people to realize, I think, what it was, to the point where it really was getting to the point where it's like, you know, some people are about to get really, really hurt out there. But they finally realized it threw open a portal. Smashing the control panels actually did undo the wards. There was a way to do that, again, without smashing shit, but subtlety. So they did manage to escape back to the Abbey because it took so long that they actually all got thrown their ass. Like, last 6 inches of the portal closing took the brunt of the explosion, which was enough to just basically shove them all into the Abbey as the portal was closing. It was a lot of fun. I had a good time doing it. Seemed like people always enjoy that stuff. They ask for it, so as long as they keep doing it, why not? One other thing I had was last night in Star Trek. They do an interesting thing there where, I think I've mentioned it, that a lot of games they do have the what do they call, like the MSQ, the main story quest, the main story that drives the game. You know, ESO has one. You know, it's what Somerset does. The storyline evolves and passes on into the future. In this guild, they do the same thing. They're fairly far behind, or not too far behind, but they're a little bit behind on the actual story stuff. But they do it in their own time, and they actually make stuff that's happening in the game part of the guild's lore. So right now, they're at a point where they're defending Deep Space Nine from it's a Hark, which is, they're basically like, they're the Zerg of Star Trek, as far as I can tell. Coming out of the Gamma Quadrant, that, for those of you who watch Star Trek, the big, you know, Deep Space Nine had the wormhole, and that's where they're all coming out of, kind of. So we're, in the story, Deep Space Nine got wrecked, so now we're part of Starfleet. We're out there trying to help get it all back, and they were talking about how to get the station back in order and help you know, Starfleet help that out and help with the defense and keep things from being attacked. So I'm curious to see how this keeps going. But it was kind of a meeting. I've not done a meeting thing like that in quite some time, especially one that was in character like that. It was interesting. I had fun. I mean, it was all Star Trek techie talk in gravimetrical pulses and EMP fields and this and that, which I had a good time with it because I'm a fucking nerd. But it was fun. I've enjoyed trying to. It's been since Matrix, and I honestly even consider Star Wars to be fantasy. So it's been since The Matrix since I've played something that was sci-fi or anything like that. I'd count The Secret World, but we didn't really get to roleplay that much in it because it just didn't stick. So, but yeah, that's what I did. That was it. So to go on to some of our stories, so the first one is, some of you may have heard it. It comes from New Orleans, Nolans, for you guys down there. But the family of an avid gamer who was unfortunately murdered down in New Orleans. The way they did his funeral was not typical. If you want to see the photo of what they did, it's in the Discord chat, and I'll go ahead and put it in the Discord and in the Twitch chat. But basically, instead of having him in a casket, they propped him up in a gaming chair, put a PlayStation controller in his hands, Doritos, chips, fully clothed in his favorite jerseys and his comfy sandals, and sat in front of a TV at the funeral home, playing video games, even though he's dead. He's dead. I've made jokes about when I die, I want to be stuffed and placed on the couch with a remote control in my hand. I was not aware that this was an option, and now, Sib, we're going to need to see a lawyer. I want this in my will.
But what about my new boyfriends? They might find it a little creepy.
Well, I mean, after me, is any man really ever going to satisfy again?
I'm not even going to go there.
Ouch. Ouch. But yeah, it is unfortunately...
Wait a minute. Can I be stuffed and sit on the couch?
Yeah, I'll put you in the attic.
No!
We got an upstairs couch. I'll put you upstairs. Kids can see you. They'll miss you.
Oh, that might be fun. Can I stand amongst all the Halloween decorations?
I would definitely be putting you out in the yard during Halloween. Hell yeah.
Nice.
Zombie wife.
That's just so creepy.
It is really creepy.
But I can understand why they did it.
I mean, I get it. I get it in a way. It is kind of sweet. It's also just really creepy to me at the same time.
The great Whoopdini in Discord chat said, remember him in death as he was in life, which I think that was actually mentioned in the story.
Yeah, and it is unfortunate. He was an 18-year-old. He was shot dead, just walking his dog down in New Orleans. You know, there's nothing in the story about gangs or anything like that. He was apparently just a kid that liked video games and was out walking his dog. Wrong place, wrong time. He was considered a homebody, which not a lot of gang members are homebodies, sitting at home with their parents playing video games. And I only say that because it's a lot of people think that first, and it's New Orleans. I know there's got a lot of crime down there, but it is a shame. They haven't made any arrests. They don't have any clue who would have done it, or if he was just wrong place at the wrong time. But it's still just really creepy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Apparently, it's not the first time too. They also said there was the same funeral home. I know this is a thing down in some countries. I think I don't know if they said it here. No, there was another story on this, but I know there's certain countries and villages and stuff that actually do these kinds of things. It's just something that they've done for hundreds of years. It's just, I don't know, maybe being in America, it's just super strange, because there was another lady that was 53, described as a party girl, who loved beer and scotch, by the way, my kind of woman. Her body was posed sitting with a beer and a menthol cigarette in an ashtray at the table at her funeral. So apparently this is a thing that happens. It's just new to me. It wouldn't have dawned on my radar if he wasn't a gamer, so...
Even though you joke about it all the time.
I have. That's why I didn't know it was an option. I like the fact that Renard Matthews, who's the kid's name, has given me options I didn't know I had. What?
I'm not saying nothing.
What? I'm just saying.
What?
One other thing I forgot to mention, too. We are a call-in show. If you haven't already joined our Discord, rpmradio.com/Discord. You too can be part of the show. Go to the caller waiting room room where Rahanar's waiting to make sure that you can do stuff and actually be heard and spoken. And I'm sorry, I've got like my neck is like I've got like a serious muscle cramp just building right in the side of my neck. If you keep seeing me twitch, it is fucking hurting. Damn. I don't know why it's happening like that. I'm having a spasm. But yeah, rpmradio.com/discord. Join our channel, talk with us during the week, and chat with us during the show. So if you've got something to say, feel free. All call lines are open. We don't have any callers waiting on the line right now, so feel free to call in. rpmradio.com/discord or 1-800.
How do you spell that?
PT. The other one, and we'll probably give this one a little bit of time here. For the Final Fantasy 14 people, it's been probably about 2 weeks now since this broke. And we already had our shows lined up, but I also wanted to give it a little time. It was this one came from PC Gamer, and there's been several updates to it. But the prominent Final Fantasy 14 community leader accused of blackmail and sexual harassment by over a dozen women. So there's a guy named Old Bear Stormborn, who is apparently kind of a community leader. He ran a place called the Moogle Post. It was like it was stuff on Final Fantasy 14. They did kind of fake stories and things like that. But they actually he had a team of like Instagram people, YouTubers, photographers, artists, writers, and things like that. And they produced a lot of stuff, but apparently it came out that from obviously say about a dozen women that he was also kind of a dirtbag. At times, I will be honest, I'm not all completely for the Me Too movement at times, because I think I'm not a fan of accusing people of something and ruining everything without due process. I think everybody deserves to be heard, for sure, and it should be every single instance of it should be taken seriously, but you also have to prove it, because, let's be honest, both men and women, there are people out there that were happy to ruin someone's lives because they're vindictive assholes, and you got to be able to be careful with that stuff. This one, however, seems that there's a lot of proof on it, too. And again, I'm not going to make a judgment on it, because he's also created his own site showing his side of things. And some of the evidence is compelling, some of it is not. All of it makes him look like a giant fucking douchebag.
Well, I was going to say, if there's a lot of people complaining about it compared to his one, it's a little hard to take the one when you have all the...
Well, and he does have screenshots of certain things, and some things seem to be misconstrued. But for the most part, and given this isn't the Me Too thing, when it comes to big celebrities, obviously they can litigate that. This is just some, he's just some schmuck on the internet like we are, But that doesn't mean people don't go after people, schmucks, But he had, the first one. This is the main one, the one that kind of they call her Anonymous Jane. They called them the women that came forward. They then arbitrarily numbered them like cattle, which, by the way, probably shouldn't do that with women. Just a thought. I mean,
we all like to be number one. Sorry.
Right, but after that, it's like the Daniel Tosh joke of going up to women like they're best in show and going first, second, third. Women don't really appreciate that after the first one.
No. You better say first, and first.
Right. But yeah, he said she was saying things like, when they first met him, he seems very charming. I invited him to my free company, Final Fantasy 14 version of a guild. And that's where it all began. We built a giant free company. So this is why I wanted to bring this up, because this goes along the line, because it was both a guild and something outside the game. And they were number one on their server for a really long time. And she said almost immediately, her name is actually Kate. Apparently, they called her Anonymous Jane, but then they outed all the names and stuff too. So, go figure. Again, another douchebag move. Albert began making sexual advances towards her when they spoke using voice chat via TeamSpeak, which, by the way, shows how long ago this was. TeamSpeak, really? Told her how she had a sexy voice, basically the typical like creepy kind of thing. But some, like she said, she was in a bad place. She said, I think everyone wants to feel loved and to feel like they're special to someone. Everyone wants to hear nice things about themselves, and I probably shouldn't have been too flattered when he said that I had a sexy voice, but I was because I was lonely. And that happens. I get that. But you've also got to be very careful with that kind of stuff because there are people that take advantage of that. But it just continued to do things like that. There's a portion where he invited one of them out to their house and apparently then didn't, out to his house, paid to have them out there and was going to pay to have them go back home, but then didn't have the money to get them to the back home part.
Oh, geez.
Yunfei? Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Although you didn't invite them on your
You didn't pay for that
your
trip.
couch dwelling troll, but
I wasn't even aware that trip was happening until he showed up.
right, yeah. So yeah, you weren't.
That's terrifying. That is really terrifying.
Yeah,
But no, I've heard the hey, I love you. I'll fly you out to see me, and then met his wife a week later. So
how was she? Was she a lovely woman?
actually, she was really nice, and I kept apologizing.
Yeah, well, that was good of you. I mean, not like it was your
I had
fault,
no idea.
but
No, I had no idea she existed,
Yeah.
and I was like, had I any clue, I would have backed the heck off.
yeah. Well, that's good that you guys had a nice conversation. You were probably more of a friend to her at that point than he was.
Well, we haven't spoken since, but I
No,
mean,
and you probably it would be family reunions would be a little uncomfortable. Yeah, it's not something you're like, hey, let's go out and have drinks.
right? Yeah.
But yeah, it was there's this whole series of these things, and things, as one of the things too, the relationship deteriorated. It was no longer romantic, and slowly he started to ostracize her from their social circle. And when she tried to speak to other members about what was happening, people that she considered her friends, that he would encourage her or encourage them to dismiss her claims, drawing upon the stereotype of prevalent gaming communities that she's just stirring up drama, which does happen. There are those, we all know those people that they live to make drama, but not every single one of them are.
Drama llamas.
That's
Oh, jeez.
right. So
I know that too.
yeah, and so she felt backed into a corner and took drastic measures. And since she was the leader, she kicked him out of the free company, and which was, as you can imagine, in a guild with somebody that's probably well liked, was rather contentious. But it was basically just this ongoing pattern of abuse, and I will say this. In this case, it was male and female, but it does happen the other way too. It's just it's a bad, nasty human condition.
Yeah, because if we had Strafae here,
yeah.
he would be able to tell his story about it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things. If you guys want to, there's the story there. It's something to at least look over, look a little bit into. His version of things, of course, he's completely innocent of everything. Nothing ever happened. It was all misunderstandings. And he posts some stuff that does, in some cases, backs it up. And in other cases, it's like that literally proves the exact opposite of what you're saying. That's why you've always got to, I don't think, I definitely don't think he's one of the good guys in this, and I don't think maybe all of the women are as well. But I think the majority of them have a very, very valid point. At the very least, anybody that was, they should definitely back away from him.
Help, Yunfei beats me.
Oh, no.
And I will
You
say,
asked for it.
in gaming, if you're typing there can be misunderstandings. How
very easily.
People miss stuff. Things are misunderstood. You might type out something and mean it one way, and it's taken completely different. It happens.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, absolutely.
so I mean, just last night or the night before, I missed something in the chat, and we were at an event, and I actually asked a question, and somebody approached me after the event and was like, "Do you have a problem with me?" Or, and I was like, "What?" I didn't have a clue. And she explained what she, was going on. And I went back and I read through the logs, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." I said, "I totally missed that. I was between writing a report and waiting for the event to start, completely missed it." And I explained it to her, and I told her, I said, "I was doing other things. I was distracted. I didn't see you say that." I said, "I'm so sorry." I said, "Thank you for bringing it to me so we can work this out and there's no, drama." But it happens. It does. And it's just, I think it's the fact that we have to type to communicate. And when you do that, you never know how people are going to take it. Even though you think it's completely harmless, they might not take it that way. Like our little, what is it? What did Strafae call it? Our little security bot in Discord.
Oh, yeah. The Dino
It took DEL wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, go figure. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know. You just have to be so
and
open-minded.
Yeah. And there was another person here too, and this one was, like I say, ladies, you got to be careful with your. There's certain things just don't do. One of them, a girl named Zoe, another person that came out, said that over Skype that he had pressured her into like masturbating on Skype and things like that. He just, and given you can make the point, yeah, she did do that on her own. I get that, but it's kind of like what we were talking. At the time she was 18 and he was 33 as well. So keep that in mind. I don't know if you're aware of this. Young people are stupid and make very bad choices. If you're very young, you're stupid and you're going to make very bad choices. Try not to.
There's a scientific reason for that too.
Right. So, and when an older person comes in like that, there is definitely a pressure to it. And I get that. So you have to, this is where I always get into, you have to know, when you're being raised and stuff, you got to know your principles. You got to know where you stand. So if stuff like this comes along, to get the hell away from it. Unfortunately, a lot of people these days, they're lonely. And on the internet, they're lonely. They're looking for somebody to give them attention, to care for them. And I get that. And it can push you to do things that in your heart you don't want to do. In this case, like, she was doing that stuff, and she was, bursting into tears in the middle of it. Which, by the way, yeah, nothing sexier than a woman that's just crying her eyes out. It's a little creepy.
It is very creepy.
Right. Yeah. And, then I guess they kind of got together, and they actually did physically hook up. And, it's just, like I said, women, men out there as well, if you're getting pushed into stuff like this, protect yourselves. And for the love of God, don't do anything that could be recorded and held over you, because apparently he also threatened to release pictures and videos of these kinds of things if they spoke out. And that's where, for me, is basically completely unforgivable and makes you just the scum of the earth. And also is technically blackmail. And under most laws is fairly illegal. A little bit. So just be careful, guys out there, because people like this, they're like, so like Insomnia said, like we did from the last show, there are sociopaths out there, and there's a lot of, they're all on the internet now. They're all out there. Some of them are role players even. And they will take advantage of any and everything they can to get what they want. So, be out there, protect yourself. If this happens to you in a guild or anything like that, man, it's not worth it. There's other guilds out there. And if somebody destroys your reputation, an entire guild entire game stops playing with you, there's other games too. I know it's going to suck. I know it's disappointing, and I know it hurts, but it is not worth it, So it's you gotta watch yourselves, And I know we don't want to. I'm not to get on a serious topic here, but
yeah, you said it wasn't going to be serious tonight.
Well, this one I knew kind of was because and he was a manipulative person. Like these are all the same kinds of people we've talked about again and again on this show. Go back almost any episode. They exist out there. This article, if you look where I linked it, I mean it's pages and pages long. And if you search more on it, you'll find his sort of version of things as well. He'll hit each point that was put up in this article. Some of them, like I said, some of them I think he was misrepresented. Other ones, no, he is represented pretty well, and he's if they had the financial means, they'd probably go after him and win a lawsuit. Like most gamers, probably not able to actually do that. And it's hard to prove that stuff sometimes. But, whatever comes to this guy, I like to think that he'll probably have it coming. As far as I know, everybody I'm aware of over from Final Fantasy XIV has stepped away from Moogle Post. Basically the whole website, if it's not done, should be done by now. You just can't be with a guy like that and have him as a boss. It just does not work.
Yeah.
So, but just protect yourselves, guys.
And can I add one just little thing?
Absolutely not.
Trust your gut.
There's a man talking.
Trust your gut feeling.
Yes. Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
Yep. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it.
Yeah. Don't let anyone ever pressure and I mean that in role play. If someone's pressuring you into ERP and stuff like that, don't. You don't want to. Don't. I mean, I'm talking to two women right now. How often have you two been hit up for ERP? That's the answer.
Oh.
You mean this week or?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, does it really matter after a certain point? You're just like, no. It's just, it happens, and if you're not comfortable with that stuff, don't, for the love of God.
Final Fantasy, I can't remember what that bar or tavern was. That you were, it was like the ERP bar.
Yeah, the Sands, I think it was.
I will never forget one of the first times I ran through there, and the first question I get, do you ERP? I was like, no. Didn't hear from him again. I was like, good.
Yeah. And it happens. They'll whether it's somebody out of the blue, which is, it's and if that's your thing, that's fine. But man, hitting up random people that you don't even know, come on. You're fucking pathetic. Stop. There's more to role play than just and banging words together.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't feel like, to me, you would get anything out of that just being with or ERPing with some random person. But
yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
there's only one way to try. Tune in next week as we attempt and put Sim in the middle of an uncomfortable situation.
No, I thought that was episode 69.
Yeah, that's the 69 episode.
Dang it. That's so long to wait.
I'm okay with that. Because I say crap right now. Like, I think, I can't remember what I was talking to Jazz and Strafae in Discord chat. And said something, and they both were like, ooh. And I'm like, I instantly felt my face turn red.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm embarrassed now. I got to get off here.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
See, I have very low standards, so I can just say whatever comes as long as I think it's funny. I don't have to believe it to think it's funny. And typically the more I don't believe in something, the more opposite I go in making fun of that thing. It's just, what I do. Like how horrible
I'm always
Sib
reminded
is.
of the time in U2 Xanis and Yunfei were having a chat in Freeport, some guy walks up and the emote's biting Xanis, and you just went, no, and walked off.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
To this day, that still kills me.
No. Mm-mm. Sorry, I was chomping on some ice. I thought that was going to go longer. So yeah, like I said, just protect yourselves out there, guys. Never get pressured in role play to ever do anything. Never get pressured out of character to ever do anything you don't want to do. It's not worth it. You're gonna feel, if it makes you feel bad during it, it's gonna make you feel worse afterwards. I mean,
yeah.
Let's be honest. It just doesn't get better with time.
No, and then you're stuck with it, and it starts to become the devil you know versus the devil you don't.
Yeah, because you can never undo it. Regret typically doesn't just vanish. It can often even build and build. So just be true to yourselves. Never let anybody make you do something you don't want to. So with that cheery topic, go ahead and do a word from our sponsor, and then we'll hit our somewhat main topic. I mean, all of these were actually kind of main topics today. So we'll carry on. So with that, let's see here. We'll go with a word from our sponsor. Well, hey there. You looking for a time that no longer exists? I think your best days are behind you. Yeah, don't we all? We all know that some things sometimes they just never come back. But they don't have to be gone forever. Here at Gobco, makers of such children toys as Angry Bees in a Box and Guess That Poison, we have a new product for you. What we got here is your rose-colored glasses. That's right, these babies will help you relive your past glory days by using these here magical lenses. See, what they do is they tap directly into your brain via what we call psychonical energies. That's right. We just replay it right here directly from your brain into these little red lenses, and boom, you're at the peak of your performance at the big game when you were a young lad. Or bam, that one time you was totally banging that chick on the internet chat for like, I don't know, good 5 hours. She was pretty hot, pretty good looking. It was pretty heated. Now and then it might show you something useless, like the birth of your children or something, but you can skip by that with the handy-dandy remote for only an extra $50 or so. So go on out there, get your rose-colored glasses today, or, just keep being the loser you are. Yeah, that sounds nice.
I don't know if I want rose-colored glasses.
Well, too bad you all have them. Everybody has them. So yeah, for better things we all have. I've a lot of role players, especially the old timers. They're always like, "Yeah, it used to be so this and that and this and that." And was it really?
No.
Was it?
I mean, to some degree, yes. Because, like in EQ1, for example, it was new, it was fresh. There really wasn't anything else like it at the time. And it was just, you sort of had this childlike wonder.
Yeah, because before that you had, Ultima, which was just over-the-top sprite-based stuff.
Yeah, and Corp Core and you're dead.
Yeah, yeah, and you could have your house raised. I mean, it was very realistic, but it was also really, I never got into that one. But yeah, and for me, like rose-colored wise, like I've never been, I don't think I've ever been more dedicated to an MMO as I was to EQ1 because it required that kind of dedication.
Yes.
You really you didn't have a choice. You either played the game or you didn't. There was no there's a reason they called it Evercrack.
Yeah. Especially like when you were working on your epic or anything like that.
Yeah.
There were mobs you would have to sit there, just have your character sit there for like 2 weeks.
Yeah. I for my Barracuda, for my leaf blower, I sat at the edge of Lake of Ill Omen hoping, because remember, early days of the internet, everything was dial-up, hoping I was actually in the right spot, and that I would be the one that would see it first. Because sometimes they would spawn. This was, it wasn't, everything didn't spawn in one spot. They could spawn in multiple places, and then they would just roam around for a little bit. And then if you didn't catch it, they might despawn and start the clock all over. Which, by the way, clock changed. You never knew what it was. This is what we used to call fun.
Yes. And dying and losing levels.
Oh, yeah. De-leveling. Yeah, that was the thing.
And getting...
shard runs.
Yep. Or getting locked out of fear because you died and lost a level.
Yeah. But...
there were some...
Oh, and I love it. Was awful and in the best times at the exact same moment.
Yeah. I think it's because, like, back then, again, like I said, there was really nothing else like it, and we were all in it together.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of people in the Northeast when that big snowstorm comes in. You go out, you bundle up, you go outside, you wave at your neighbor, and just kind of like, this is life.
Yeah,
we're in it together.
We're here.
I wouldn't be leaving my house. You lost me at big snowstorm. I would be like, no.
Yeah, and if you guys,
I'm the type that hibernate.
Yeah, and if you guys have any stories out there, like I said, feel free to call us. Call our waiting room over at rpmmoradio.com/discord. Feel free to tell us both the eras in gaming and MMOs that you thought, and your favorite RP, because we all remember. Like I said, we all remember the first time we role played, or the first MMO, or gaming in general. Like for me, it's back with the NES. Or actually, no, before that, Atari. But really, for me, the NES and SNES days. As much as I love the modern games, I really, really look fondly back on those days. However, those games were largely garbage. At least on the NES, it was literally like a 15-minute game that was just so fucking difficult. I would spend forever and never beat it. Just die on the same levels over and over. I'm looking at you, Battletoads, you motherfuckers.
Yep.
Battletoads. Especially that one level where you had to ride the bicycle left to right. The speeder thing, and there was like 120 little dividers. I got really good at that, though. Me and my buddy Jared. Oof. But, we always think back so fondly on everything from our child, and it's not just in gaming. I mean, our childhoods, everything seemed better. And I don't know that it necessarily was. Like, you look back in our childhoods for us that grew up in the 80s, it seemed like a safer time and this and that. But like today, nobody lets their kids out of their sight. Yet at the same time, in the 80s, I was like almost 50% more likely to be kidnapped than the kids today. It's actually far safer, and there's less crime and less kidnappings today than there were when I was growing up. But given the news cycle and the constant media attention stuff like that gets, it doesn't feel like that, even though you're a lot safer today and a lot less likely to be, as long as you're not in, like, Detroit. If you're in Detroit, I wouldn't even leave your house. If you needed bread, then it's not worth it. You're just going to get shot. But the trash can and car fires do make the city glow in a certain way at night that you just can't get anywhere else.
S'mores.
S'mores.
Oh, garbage s'mores.
Garbage
Garbage
s'mores.
s'mores.
Nothing tastes better than the combination of chocolate, marshmallow, graham cracker, and
fresh
burning
garbage.
oil.
Leave it to the diabetic to come up with s'mores.
Right. So, and it's one of those funny things, like I remember, like you, Yunfei, I look back on EQ1 so fondly. God damn, was there such a waste of time in that game. What was it? You'd have to wait for your boat to get there. Then
Yes.
it was 15 minutes to go from Freeport to Kinos across the Ocean of Tears. And that's if you didn't bug out and fall through the boat when you zoned. which was
Yep.
you know a 90% chance that you'd actually manage to stay on the boat.
I'm sitting here thinking as you guys are explaining this, I'm thinking I would never make it. Here I am. I want portals.
Yeah.
Portals so I can just pop
Well, and-
to place to place.
You know, you say that, and you know what made me quit EverQuest 1? Portals. Planes of Power, where everybody had access to the portals. I was a druid. I could actually create druid portals to the druid rings. That's how I made money. And then Planes of Power came out, and it was basically click on a book, and poof, you're where you wanted to be. And
that pretty much put you out of business.
It put me out of business. It put a lot of people out of business. Yeah, Wizards as well. Although they still had the what was that? There was a spell that would give you mana regeneration and things like that. Yeah.
No, that was Clarity from the Enchanters.
Who did that one?
That was the Enchanters.
Enchanters did the Clarity.
Yep.
Yeah, so they were still in
this
business.
was also a game where you could park yourself at a certain place in the zone and just shout, handing out crack to noobs for donations. Or you could just do like a run-by buffing on a noob, and the buffs were really significant.
Oh yeah.
You could buff a noob.
It was not game breaking, but it was raid
Almost.
breaking.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't have that, you were considered underpowered.
That's one of the things I miss the most. I think is the ability to just do good deeds. Just run by a noob.
Yeah, because nowadays you
just buff them and leave.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm watching more and more. Scribbles kind of got me taking a look at it more and more. The Pantheon seems to bring a lot of that old school flavor back without a lot of the annoyances that the old games had, like that horrible quest system that you had to type in that how to do things and things like that. It doesn't seem to hold your hand with, like, I don't mind a game that doesn't hold your hand with a glowing pillar of light in the distance and a trail right in front of you, and also you can click a button that auto guides you directly to the place where you're supposed to kill 10 rats. I'm okay without having those options, but a decent quest description is required for that now not to happen. And also maybe a halfway decent map. Even if I have to explore it first, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I would actually be willing. That's why I'm kind of willing to give the game a try. I really want to give it a shot. I did play a little bit of some of the beta stuff that they've had, and I actually had a pretty good time. It was fun. It was still early on. It was still very rough, but they're coming along very well with that. So I might have to give it a shot. Of course, it will depend if there's a roleplay community, which I know there's already a Discord for roleplay and Pantheon, so that's cool. But yeah, returning to those glory days, it's. I think some people like. I think it's just a getting older thing too. Like a lot of things, the older you get, like you don't remember. You remember some of the really bad things from your childhood. You remember some of the really good things, but like the day-to-day stuff, like the boring waiting in the shopping mall with your mom. You don't really remember that, but if you really think hard, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, God, that was awful. How long did it take to buy, granny panties at J.C. Penney? Apparently hours. 'Cause that's what it felt like. Probably was only like 10 minutes, but when you're a kid, 10 minutes is an hour. But going back to that, and it's one of those things like the stuff that was done back for us in EQ2 or. Like Matrix Online, I had a lot of really good stories, or Star Wars Galaxies, and I remember them fondly, but I can't really give you any details. It's more of a feeling. Some of the stories remain, but mostly it's just the feelings of like, that was so much fun. I really had a good time with that.
I still have every log.
Do you really?
I do.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, no, EQ2 for me, especially when the Fate arc came back around, was just magical for me.
That was a good. That time there when the Greater Fate arc came back. Yeah, that was a good time.
I used to log everything, and like it's just still on my hard drive. I just never got rid of it.
Man, that would be an interesting read through. But
See, and I don't remember. I got into gaming in EQ2. So
and it was
I don't
already
have,
towards the end of its life too. So
Yeah.
you didn't get the golden era. You got the Bronze Age.
Yeah, pretty much. But I will always have Wizard's World.
Wizard one. It was Wizard 101.
Yeah, Wizards 101. I don't even have it right. See,
Yeah.
it meant that much to
Of course,
me.
we didn't role play in that, but we did. It was the first MMO her and I played together. You know, because it was the only one our shitty second computer could run. Barely.
But I
was
did have
iffy.
a lot of good RP in EQ2.
Yeah,
So,
and
I
it
mean,
is
I
where you
can't
got
complain.
your first experiences of that.
Yeah. Was trying to think when you guys were talking about, how much you enjoyed the role play back then. I was trying to think of something, that really stuck out. And right now I don't have like that point. Because I'm really enjoying ESO, so I don't really have like.
Yeah, you're probably.
I wish I could have gone back to then.
I think you're in that era for you.
Yeah,
Because
maybe
like
I am.
for you, like for me too, before I got to EverQuest 2, and really that was really when I kicked off my role playing. I did role play in Galaxies, which I did remember having very fondly. And I loved Galaxies. It was a great game till they ruined it. And Matrix Online, which was an okay game, but it was really kind of fun at the time because it was, it's the Matrix, which don't look at it from an aspect of 2018. Look at it from back when Matrix came out, and it was still a really cool thing before they ruined it with the following 2 movies. And but it was a lot of fun, and it was one of the few games. Actually, I'm going to take that back. I think at the time it was the only MMO where you played in a modern day, which but with the sort of superpowers and things like that. So that was really, really cool. And there's still not a lot of games like that. I think you got Secret World.
Secret World was a lot of fun, except there was roleplay and stuff too. But
and there still is. They have a pretty solid roleplay community from what I've seen.
It's so hard to get to. Like, you have to know somebody to get in because every place every zone that you go, I think, is instanced. There may be like 10 or 15 other people there with you, and then they open another instance. And that makes it really difficult to just sort of do the walk-up roleplay because there's just nobody there.
Yeah,
unless
and it's
you know
all
someone
in,
to say,
I think a lot of
hey,
their hubs are London. And even to get to London, you've got to progress through an entire zone of quests and everything before that. So it's not just, it's not just one thing. There's a couple roadblocks in your way,
Yeah.
But it's still, as far as I know, I'm trying to think of another MMO that's like modern day setting. And because like Star Trek, obviously it's futuristic, so that doesn't really count.
And see, I'm not a huge fan of the Secret World because I like the fantasy.
Yeah.
So that was we tried it. I wanted to play the fantasy game.
Yeah, and it's clunky as hell.
We have a caller
to
too.
me. Yeah, I know. I was waiting for Rohanar.
It was pretty clunky too.
But yeah, it was the I know they redid that too, and it was a little less clunky. It was a little like, I loved their quest system. It was very, very inventive and very creative, but the combat itself was very repetitive and very clunky for me, and it wasn't all that much fun, which was a shame because I really did like the quest stuff.
The writing was fantastic.
Yeah, writing, the story was all really well done, but it failed on a few key points for mechanics. So yeah.
Rahar said we have a caller.
Okay, we do. Okay. Well, I know it's the Great Whoop Dini.
So.
Yeah. Well, him I am familiar with as well. He's
been on the show before.
So that's good to know. So with that, let's go to our call lines. Talk to the Great Whoop Dini. Thank you for calling RPMMO Radio, Whoop Dini. How's it going tonight?
Hey.
He said with exuberance and excitement. What's up?
I remember push to talk this time.
Oh, there you go. That's right.
Welcome.
So what's up?
Hello.
Oh, we were talking about basically the same subject a couple days ago on the Discord, and I just I've been thinking about it, and it occurred to me that in addition to there being like a golden age of MMOs that people commonly refer to,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like role-playing experience, everybody seems to have their own golden age, and it usually correlates to like either the first or second major involvement they've had in a given game.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It seems to be, for me it was second, third-ish, but I did EQ2 for friggin' 10 years, and I wonder sometimes too. What was your like? Do you have a time like that, Whoopdini?
Yeah. So actually, that was the first time that in an MMO I really
got
came into my
it.
own. Yeah.
Was it towards the beginning of ESO? Because I know it's been out for
4 years or
5
so
years?
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been out of the game for a while.
Yeah.
Let's see. I was there at launch, and then like my free trial ran out because that was back when the subscriptions were paid
Right.
only.
Required.
So, and then I came back like as soon as the free-to-play option returned, and that's when I really got into it.
Yeah.
So maybe a year after launch, and then I was there for like maybe a couple years, and then I've been away ever since my like first and only community really kind of
fizzled
out.
Yeah, and that happens, but in one thing, I think a lot of people, like you're always going to look back on that very fondly, and it will some of it will fade with time, but one thing I think a lot of role players get into the trap of is they'll try to recreate that time period, try to get back to those stories and things like that. But like we were talking earlier about some of the things that were going on in that bar at Alanu, like the vampires and stuff like that. At one time I had no problem with it, and I really still don't. I mean, what you play what you want to play. I personally just find it boring, and I don't know if that's because I've already it's as you get older and you get more experience, you've seen stories kind of play out over and over again. You get kind of a been there, done that kind of thing. You've already seen that, so when somebody brings it up again, you're like, well, I get it. It's original to them. But for you personally, you're like, I've already seen this, I've already seen this movie. I really don't really care about it anymore.
That's a big part of it, I think. Like, your golden age probably isn't all that better in terms of content. The difference is that it's all new to you, generally.
Yeah, I think everyone goes through that I want to be a vampire phase. And, I mean, it makes sense. It's when you are...
Pop culture, and it's known.
Yeah, and when you're young, it's the allure of the forbidden. I get it.
Yeah.
And I was reading through some of the stuff you and Jazzy were talking about, and Whoopdini. And can I call you Whoopdini, or do I need to call you the Great Whoopdini?
My friends can drop the great.
Okay. I'm a friend. I got a friend.
Most people just abbreviate it to Whoop.
Okay, well, Whoop works. But I was reading through it, and a lot of, like, you mentioned the people that you really had a good time with were gone when you were able to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one main thing is once you lose contact with those people, it's like you can't find, is it like you can't find a group that makes you feel that the way that group did?
Yeah. Like I said in the discussion, I was really lucky in that the roleplay basically fell into my lap. And I just kind of started rolling with this crew of people who happened to be in the same area as me.
Mm-hmm.
and I was lucky enough that they were like super engaging and friendly, and I guess I had enough of an interesting character just off the top of my head that they were willing to engage with me in particular.
Yeah, sort of roll along with it.
Yeah, and then so I ended up with them for a while, and then, like I said, it just kind of, I had to go away due to real
Right.
life stuff, and then I came back, and it was okay for a little while, but then everything kind of fell apart. People just stopped logging on, or there was a tiny bit of drama, but it wasn't that bad. It was just mostly like
People just
disintegrating.
yeah, it's what happens is keeping people a game keeping somebody engaged for years and years on end, especially these days, is pretty rare. I think that's one of the reasons the older ones lasted, like kept people in them so long, was that, like we were saying earlier, the difficulty in EverQuest 1 and to a point at times EverQuest 2 had some of that, although it did have a lot of the hand-holdy stuff as well. But there was always something to strive for. There was always something more difficult beyond the horizon. Whereas games like Final Fantasy XIV, even ESO to an extent, every time there's an expansion, it does kind of raise the bar a little bit. But as soon as you get to the top, you're out of things to do.
Let me ask.
They don't have that treadmill like they used to have.
Let me ask you guys this. Okay, right now we have Discord, and 4 years ago, I don't know what they had, or, towards the beginning of ESO, I don't know what they had to keep in contact with people. I don't know. I wasn't around.
Engine has a chat room function, but people never used it.
Yeah, mostly it was Engine forums and things like that. It was just forums, yeah.
But do you guys think if we would have had something like Discord now, then do you think it would have been easier to keep in contact with people? Like Whoop said, he lost contact with people when he came back. Do you think it would have made a difference having something like this?
Well, we did have that back then. I mean, Discord is just gussied up IRC with way better marketing, and I think the marketing is what's made the difference. It's like super widespread.
Well, and the other thing is too is even if they were, even like even though they kept in contact, if they weren't playing the game, it doesn't really do you any good because they're, you're still able to talk OOC, which is great. You still have your friends, but they're no longer your roleplay partners because you're still playing a game that they're no longer in.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing that happened to me.
Yeah, like Jazz and I, we've been friends since, for forever. And after EQ2, we didn't play any of the same games. I mean, we still stayed in contact. We were still friends, through Facebook and things like that. But before Discord, it was mostly just Facebook and forums. But we weren't playing the same games anymore. We did separate on the roleplay half, but we still kept in contact. So there are always ways, especially if you make a real friend, like like even Yunfei over the years, I've still managed to keep in contact with her. I've always kept up with her, and she was out of roleplay for a decade.
Yep.
And yet here she is.
She's one of the crew.
Can't
in it
get
for the long
away
haul.
from her. It's the worst. Bugs, am I right?
Sib, I do think that Discord has made a big difference in keeping communities connected because, like, it bridges that gap of constant connectivity that you would get with a phone without being, like, feeling super personal and, like, dangerous if you give it to the wrong person.
That makes sense, yeah. I know I have a friend that I've made in ESO, and he is in Australia. And we talk on a regular basis because we have roleplay interaction. But I think even if we didn't continue to roleplay, I still would be his friend and talk to him on a regular basis because he's a super nice guy. I just really like him. So that's why I wanted to ask that question, because it seems like with Discord, people are easier. It's easier for people to keep in contact, or I know we have on the Servants of the Tribunal, there's all kinds of like event things and stuff, and they post little notices and stuff. It just seems like it's connects people a lot more.
I think there's something also about like how it strikes this balance between like impersonal and open, like the rest of the internet, where everybody's anonymous, but
Yeah.
then you have a really convenient option to be super personal with somebody if you want to. Like you can basically just text them in the private messages, and it can or can't or doesn't have to be linked to your real name or social media or whatever, depending on what you want.
Yeah.
Yes, and I totally understand that, because I have, like I said, I don't give out my personal information to very many people. There's only like a few, and then basically the show people know me. But because I'm a very want to keep my personal life private. I will say certain things like we have 2 kids, but but that's where it ends. But I understand what you're saying, because you can actually talk to people and feel like you're interacting with that person and still be anonymous.
Yeah, and in response to the Twitch chat, I was actually thinking about Skype myself before I looked over there. Like, Skype kind of got close. Like, I know a lot of people used it to keep up.
Yeah.
But it's still...
It was clunky.
And it was, at least to me and to a lot of people I knew, it still had, like, that kind of personal feeling.
Yeah.
Like giving someone your phone number, because that's what it was
basically doing.
Built on.
Yeah,
I never Skyped.
Yeah, in Discord, like you said, the advertising for one is good, but the fact that it was built by gamers as well, it really was. They wanted a place where you could chat, where you could send personal messages, where you can make multiple forums, and and then also have voice chat that wasn't a pain in the ass, kind of like Ventrilo was a real pain in the ass. And Skype.
That's the other big thing. It's just so easy to drop into a chat room.
Really, yeah, or I can click on anybody's name here and call them. It just boop like that. I don't have to give them a VPN number or a password or this and that. All this garbage.
The opposite,
it's flexible.
You can walk away from it.
Yeah, you can block people. Yeah.
Because, if they have your phone number, you get harassing phone calls. But with this, I can walk away from it.
Yeah.
I can be like, I'm going invisible. I'm done. I'm out for the night. And
it's a lot easier to not only set up barriers, but manage them and erect them or dismantle them as you see fit.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
I know I want to do a topic on Discord, because it's...
Yeah, I definitely plan on doing one.
It is such a huge thing in gaming nowadays.
Yeah, I've
actually... It's so meteoric, too. Like...
Oh, man, just like overnight. Like, the fact that I got Jazz to sign on to it just shows how amazing it is, because that was like pulling teeth. Good. The woman does not like anything new. She really is. She's like actually, I could say this because she's not here and she'll just beat me for it later. She's like Granny Clampett. It's like, that newfangled technology stuff, that's not going to go anywhere. Them colored TVs, that's not going to last. I just need myself the old-fashioned stereo phone. That's all I need. I don't know why she's a Southern Belle, but, we're going to go with it.
Sounded nothing like our Jazzy.
That sounds
nothing like our Jazzy.
Dead on jazz impersonation right there.
That sounds like my grandpa from Georgia.
Thank you.
And that's from an Alabama man. Hunta90 in Twitch. My guild kind of disintegrated like a little bit before Discord
really took off.
1 sec.
Oh. No, we'll just put the whole show on hold. It's all right. Go ahead. No, it's all right. We'll just wait here. Not saying anything.
Sorry about that.
No, don't worry.
I have to fill the time with something, and giving you shit's all I had.
Unexpected interruption.
That's all right. That's cool.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, before it made it big. So, I mean, like some of us kept in touch over the aforementioned Skype, although that kind of fell apart, and the engine forums. But again, that also fizzled out.
Yeah, and forums are always hit and miss because if nothing gets posted there, I mean, they might be checking them every now and then, but if nobody's got anything worth saying, it doesn't do shit. Whereas with Discord, you can be like, "What's up, people?" You know, and you can start a conversation, or like, "Hey, I'm playing this. Anybody ever play this before?" Or, "Man, this thing sure looks like shit." You know,
there's something about the structure of like permanent threads versus that are all segmented up, and like it seems like it takes a lot more effort to write a given thing on a forum for most people than it does to.
And it really doesn't, but I agree with you. It absolutely does feel like that.
Yeah, like you can write the exact same thing on a forum and in Discord, and on Discord you're like, man, I'm just jumping into the fray and chatting with people, and it's all lighthearted and lively. And then on a forum you're like, man, that was exhausting.
I think it's the fact that it's the instant gratification kind of thing, because on a forum you then have to wait for them to see it eventually because they have to be on that website. Discord, I have Discord up all the time. It's always up on my computer. I have it on my phone.
And there are notifications.
Yeah. You know, and on my phone, like when Yunfei was going over her rant earlier, I was out on my route and I glanced at it. I didn't really read over it, but I knew that she had something to say. But, you know, and it makes it so much easier because the second you post that, you know, you can see that. You see at the bottom, someone's typing, so you know something's coming back. It's, as with a forum, they may not even check it for another day, so you just have no idea. And I think Discord's helped a lot with that kind of stuff and keeping things like that.
I wonder if it's the age difference, too, because I know, like, Jazz and me are a little older, and we enjoy the forums.
A little?
Shut up, stupid. Anyway.
Correct.
But like it seems like the younger role players I've met, they don't keep up with the forums as much as, you know.
And some people just outright hate them. Like even
that's true.
You know what's funny about that? It's just reminding me, like, I think I mentioned the other day how like my very first RP experience was in forum RP.
Mm-hmm.
Are any of you familiar with the Warrior Cats books by Aaron Hunter?
I am. Our daughter loved them.
Oh, the Warrior Cats.
Absolutely loved them.
Our daughter ripped through every single one of them.
Those
are so good.
I will say.
And not really, I'm surprised they were for kids, because like some of the cats have 9 lives, and there was one part where one of the cats with 9 lives gets his throat ripped out, so he dies like 9 times in a row. Just bleeding out over and over and over again. And I didn't realize when I was little how metal that was.
Yeah, that's pretty extreme. But yeah, that's one of the things that got our daughter big into. She was
actually
reading and things. It got her into literature and writing and things like that. That was a series that grabbed her. I never read it myself, but
they had
she did love it.
They had fantastic forums with a massive RP scene. It was insane.
Well, yeah, because all you're doing is you're role playing as, you know, cats and stuff like that, not cat people, just actual, like a cat universe. I could see that being. I could actually see that. It got
so intricate too. Like people made maps of the cats' territories, and there were whole subcultures that sprung up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was my real golden age. When I was like 12.
I'm taking a note on this so I can tell our daughter about it.
She's gonna feel like she has had a computer the whole time, but she never knew. I bet you she never even knew about stuff like this existed.
Nothing, not a clue.
Disclaimer: the original official ones that were like licensed by the author shut down. Like, I don't remember if it was early this year or late last year.
Oh,
but
I'm sure that there's. plenty.
I had just gotten back on to check it out for old time's sake, and I was like, wait, it's closing?
Oh,
So, but a bunch of people from there set up a replacement, so you can still find that if you Google, like, Warrior Cats Forum or something.
yeah.
I'm just excited to tell her because she's going to be like, oh, I never knew. She gets excited about that stuff like I do. She'll be like, oh, she'll get that little look on her face like, oh my gosh.
The discussion earlier about, in the Twitch chat about having a RP historical database, thinking about that old forum just, like, re-emphasizes how important that would be, because that whole forum just kind of disappeared overnight. And I mean, some people tried to archive their stuff, but like the originals, the forum had a reboot once before, like they moved platforms and all the old stuff got deleted. They didn't keep any of it. So
yeah, and a lot of that, it's kind of like there's a movement out there too to archive video games and things like that, like all of them. And
yeah, I'm 100% behind that.
Right, I am too. But and one of the problems they run into are games
services.
The online ones like Matrix Online. How do you archive that? You can't. Nobody can play that. It requires servers and all these kinds of things. And there's a movement in there that to try to go and see if they can't do something, and there's legal precedents and things like that being set so that people can archive those old games. Like one I think that people would love to have come back and be archived would be like City of Heroes. People were wildly upset when that game got shut down. But yeah, that's definitely something it's a shame to how many stories and all this creativity and writing and things like that went into something like the cat roleplay place, and it's just one, it poofs halfway through because of a server change, and then they just close the entire damn thing down after so many years, and it's gone. And if you didn't archive it all, then it's just gone.
Ironically, having been abandoned by the original authors and moving entirely into community control, I think it's more likely that it'll be preserved now.
Yeah. Often when the communities take control of it, they can do better. But and things are getting better now. Like the early days of the internet, things just up and vanished. It was gone. There were no archives. There wasn't clouds that kept track of all this stuff on some massive database in the middle of nowhere. But well, I appreciate you calling in, Whoopdini. Glad to hear some stories and some ideas on that. And thank you for calling us.
I have to say real quick, whenever Ashen brought this topic up this week, I was like, they were talking about that Whoopdini or Whoop and Jazz were talking about that in Discord. Mm-hmm. And I was like, is that where you got it? He goes, well, I've been thinking on it, and yeah, kind of. So thank you for the...
I had a sneaking suspicion, so I couldn't resist calling.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it, man, and I hope you have a good night. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you. Bye.
No.
So, yeah, but I think we'll probably get pretty close to ending tonight. We'll actually might get out of here on time for a change. I think we've pretty much hit everything in one way, shape, or form or the other. But, I will say one thing too. If you have been RPing for a really long time and things like that, try new things. I think that's one of the reasons I've enjoyed Tarvala, and I'm enjoying my Star Trek character. They're both female, which is different for me because you have to play it from a different mindset and different perspective. Just in general, at least as a guy, I do. And I'm not saying you change your gender. Just to try something new. Like if you always play the broody assassins, maybe try playing something else. Maybe just keep trying different things. Try finding, like Yunfei, try finding other guilds and things like that might be a little outside of what you've played before, and have a lot more fun with it. You never really know.
Yeah, the day I was handed a bard to play in D&D changed my world. Because before that, I was pretty much just rogues.
Right. because it's what you knew and it's what you like. At the time, you thought you would like playing. I mean, who wants to play a bard? It's just dumb. Till you played one, and then you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. You know, and you never know what you might find out about yourself. So it is worth branching out there. You know, you just don't want to be one of those guys, you know, like the Al Bundy that's like all they ever talk about is the glory days of their high school football team, and that was basically where they peaked at. You don't want to look like you don't want to do that in role play and then just always be miserable trying to get back to that time. You know, it doesn't really do you any good. You're not going to end up having fun because you're always trying to strive for something that just doesn't exist. Because the what happened at that period happened not because of you specifically. It happened because of you and all the people around you, the situations that were going on in roleplay at the time, the environment of the game, the health of the game. You know, all these little factors all come into make what you're thinking was that golden age. And you can recreate that, but it's not going to be that again. You can recreate that feeling but you never recreate that exact situation. You have to make up something new. You've just got to be creative and do something else.
I did want to add one thing, if that's okay.
No.
I know we're kind of over, but
no.
I will throw something at him. Go for it.
Okay, I'll allow it. What's up?
It's okay. This, as an artist speaking to other artists, other creative people, it's okay to hold on to characters though, because you have put so much time, so much effort and energy and creativity into them that it's totally understandable that you can't just dump them. It kind of feels like you're dumping
you're drowning a puppy
child, or you're kicking a puppy or something.
Yeah.
And that's why I still draw Yunfei to this day, even though I haven't been Yunfei, so to speak, for more than 10 years. But I will never let her go because she has this little place in my heart. And
same thing.
I know that sounds weird to normies, but
yeah. No, it's like if you've basically for yourself you've created she's your Harry Potter or whatever character from literature. That was your how the way you feel about some of those characters is how you feel about her. She's got that kind of prominence in your heart. And I have the same feeling for Xanis. He was my all-time probably best character I've ever come up with, and just the way things went, and how Yunfei and things, all that stuff is what made that character so special. I'm never gonna get that back.
Right.
I just drooled on myself when I said that.
On camera, we have drilling on camera.
This 5 o'clock sunburn, baby. You looking pretty.
See, mine would have been Halan. Because she was my special character. But I also, like I said, I don't have the Golden Age experience like you two do. I mean, I wish I did, but it seems like I'm caught on the tail end of EQ2. But I am enjoying ESO a lot, so I will say that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and for you, because we went through a lot of games, and you followed me around and things like that. But we're at
did I? I finally was like, I will say on that note, I told him, I said, if I ever go back to a game, it's going to be ESO, because we started when it started.
Yeah.
And I followed him around, and finally I'm like, I'm going back to ESO. So
and now we're in a place like early on, we had a lot of insecurities. Both of us were cheated on by our spouses, things like that. So we had a lot of insecurities we had to work through. So, but now, she's playing one game, I'm playing another. It doesn't. At one time, that would have drove both of us crazy. We would have felt guilty, like we weren't spending time with the other person. Now we're like, it's cool. We understand. It doesn't bother us like it used to. And that's just comes from a place of comfort. I know it sounds weird that would ever be a thing, but trust me, it was.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
That's not weird at all.
I had no clue what he was doing. When we first got together, no clue what he was doing, because I could never imagine this kind of world existing. So it is. I was like, "What are you doing? Why are you up typing to people so late?" And then once I got started, it kind of switched, and he was like, "Okay, I don't want you to talk to that person."
Yeah.
But now
Well, that was
we're-
with romance stuff.
Well, and now we're at a point where,
Yeah, now it doesn't bother me. As long as the person's not a dirtbag.
yeah,
Well, yeah.
we've come a long way, baby. See?
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
I know I am. You don't have to tell me. I'm amazing. I know.
Sorry,
I mean, it's good to
you can't throw little things out there like that because he will take them
It's
and
good
run.
to hear it. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can praise me at any given time. I'm all right with hearing it. I just want to let you know I am already aware of it. What?
I'm not saying anything.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think that was a lot of fun. I had fun. Everybody have fun. Good. I'm glad everybody had fun.
Yay!
So, shit.
I want to say a big thank you to Yunfei for stepping in and helping
And what's
us
your
out
name?
with this. Yunfei?
I'm sorry. I only see Yunfei. I don't see that extra vowel in there.
Yunfei?
Yunfei.
Yunfei?
Yunfei.
Sorry, I've been saying it wrong the whole time. Anyway, I would like to say thank you for helping us out and stepping in and hosting with us.
She's just too
I
sweet
was
to point it
panicky.
out. I'm a turd.
I was panicking.
Oh, we would have done fine. I would have just belittled you and you'd have divorced me at the end of the show.
I was like, I don't want to do this show with just you and me.
Yeah, but no, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad you guys, Rohanar, thank you again for being our call screener as
Yes.
always. Yunfei, glad you were able to join us to get all that stuff taken care of.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Remember, if you want to contact us, you can do rpmradio@gmail.com. Look us up on Facebook, Twitter, and of course Instagram as well, all at RPMMO Radio. Again, if you ever want to join our Discord, rpmradio.com/Discord, or if you want to just check out the website, rpmradio.com. It's where we don't update a lot out there other than just episode to episode. It's mostly what it's for there is to also get people to the Discord without having to give you the fucking weird ass numbers and syllables and capitals and stuff like that. So with that, I want to thank everybody. I am Ashen Phoenix, of course, Sib and Yunfei, and our call screener Rohanar. I appreciate every single one of you tuning in at twitch.tv/RPMradio. Remember to check out the podcast if you haven't. Give us likes, subscribes, tell us what you think. We appreciate all the feedback we can get. And tune in next time for halflings and how their retinas can actually be turned into rose-colored glasses. But they have to be alive while it happens. Next time on RPMO Radio. Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Night.
Music, as always, is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his great video game rock covers and original music.